For the sixth week in a row, everybody, we are back with the same cast here to do your attack on... No, we are not doing that.
Oh, boy.
House of the Dragon episode review. We're up to episode 6. That's why I said 6 in a row. Makes sense. We're here with EliteAri, or EliteAri. I don't remember what this prick's name is.
Yep. It's me again, as always. I love it. What a show.
It's funny, and we must have talked about this before, but I have my normal main channel logo, while you are using the EliteAri logo. I probably should have
very
K2
organized. Yeah,
instead
you
of...
should.
But anyway, fuck it. I don't want to make another Photoshop thing.
Yep.
But anyway, fuck that. Fuck Attack on Titan. We're talking about House of the Dragon, greatest television program of all time. I have some notes, but I guess first we should do Mr. EliteAri's overall thoughts.
Oh, okay. I guess this time I watched it very close again, but I still had some time to think about it afterwards.
Very close to recording.
I'd say, yeah, like I finished maybe, 15 minutes ago?
I was a few hours ago myself, but...
Yep. I would say it's, this is certainly my favorite episode, of all.
Oh!
I, very much enjoyed it. I was thoroughly, throughout the thing, very engaged, and I guess a lot has changed. There's a lot to pay attention to now. I guess there's always a lot to pay attention to, but a lot of, names and stuff, my goodness.
Oh, don't worry, I'll have you know
so
each
great.
and every name is, through this hour and a half we go through it, don't worry.
Good, good. It's great. Yeah, best episode.
10-year time skip. Now, interestingly, I haven't really delved a lot into the reaction to this one. Usually I check Twitter to see if, did everybody turn on the show this episode? And the answer seemed to be no. I didn't see any really in-depth stuff. Me and Minty haven't talked at all because he hasn't seen the episode yet. Now Minty isn't just a figment of everybody's imagination. He was in a video. Though most people listening to this probably didn't watch that one because we had all of the spoilers in there. For the entire Dance of Dragons and beyond. So don't watch that. Anime onlys, that's what we're calling you. That's you, Ari. You're an anime only.
Yeah.
Haven't even read the manga.
I love it.
Or the wiki articles about the manga.
And I listened to the dub.
Yes. This episode, I don't know. I'm not as hot on it. I thought it was great. It was good. There was something about the ending or something. Minty hasn't seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure Minty will absolutely hate this episode. It has a few of the biggest pet peeves that he's been freaking out that was going to be a side effect of the way they've been doing things. I'm already prepared to talk him off the ledge, so I have some counter arguments there, but those aren't going to be relevant here because those are all spoiler related.
Yep.
It was an hour and 7 minutes long, I think the longest episode so far, and the longest episode in the season. I believe another one, I think it might be 9, is going to be an hour and 6 minutes. We know all these things already. We also know all the titles. I don't know if Ari knows them. Probably doesn't want to know them.
Oh, I do. I have some theories about them, man.
Okay, we can talk about that. But yeah, so it was very long, obviously. 10-year time skip, the longest time skip we've had. Change of actors for basically, not basically everybody. Mr. Kristen is still around, though he does look quite a bit older with a little bit of change in hair.
No, we got a disagreement here. He looks exactly the same.
Does he? Well, he changed his hair.
He traveled in time or something. It was ridiculous. Yeah. I saw him and I was like, oh, I guess he's just, he's just still a little baby there. My goodness.
Oh, really? I think he looks older, but yeah.
All right.
But I feel like the Rhaenyra actor looks almost, I don't know if too old is right, but he looks even older. I don't know. I guess they all look kind of old. They all look like 30.
Yeah. Viserys looks the best. My goodness.
Yes, he's looking nice and 30, he is.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't die at the end of last episode, Lamau. I
Crazy.
really thought that. He's 10 years in the
that's
future.
The biggest shock of this
going.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess they chopped his arm off and it let him live a bit longer, but yeah.
I think the hard thing about this episode, actually, and I think this felt the most like an original Game of Thrones episode because we were cutting around to a bunch of different places. Damon and Lena were in Pentos, and then we were cutting around to, we even went to Harrenhal a bunch. But yeah.
Yep. Establishing shot.
The first establishing shot of Harrenhal was, why was the castle so small? It's supposed to be gigantic. Even the establishing shot in season 2 was way better. But then they showed some interior shots and it looked way bigger. So they get one tick and one cross, I think. But I was building up to something about it feeling like original Game of Thrones. But I was going to say because we were cutting around a lot, so there isn't really like one particular thing I don't think to talk about from this episode. It's not like, oh, we got to talk about the wedding, or we got to talk about fucking, or we got to talk about the Daemon fight.
There's a lot of big things.
I guess we should probably go by new family and kids characterization. Where do you want to go, Ari? Do you have any ideas?
Oh boy, there's too much that happened in this, and everything is just so new. There's like all these characters.
Oh yeah, I got a clever thing to start. Now I referenced this to you probably in one of our various calls we had over the last few days, but there were some scenes that were shown earlier in the week. I think Olivia Cook, who plays older Alicent, was on Jimmy Kimmel, and usually when they go on those talk shows, they play like a 1-minute snippet. But there was an older Alicent and an older Rhaenyra scene shown. So we saw a bit of the first scene of the episode where Rhaenyra, we don't see her giving birth like we do at the very beginning of the episode, but we saw her walking through and Rhaenyra came up and they go to Alicent, but it cuts off before they get to the stairs, I think. So it was just like a 1-minute clip there. And then we got a small clip of Alicent talking to Larry Strong before he goes and does the things he does. So the earlier scene with them. Basically when she says, oh, my father would have been partial to me, or whatever she says. Now, me and Minty were reveling over both these scenes. We thought both of them were great. Minty is going to hate Alicent in this episode because he is the biggest Alicent simp you ever met in your life. And boy, was she made to be Cersei in this episode. She was not very nice. Now, weren't you coming around the last episode? You were like, Rhaenyra down bad. We love Alicent. Was that you last episode, or am I misremembering?
I don't remember if I liked Alicent. I definitely didn't like Rhaenyra. And I think they do a good job here of I think I'm thinking of the Kristen line where he says like spoiled cunt or something. Yeah. And I was like, man, that's great descriptor of her.
Even still in this episode.
Well, maybe right until the end of the episode where she chooses to leave. But anyway, so I would say like I don't think I'm on anyone's side at this point. Like everyone has reasons for me to dislike them. I can't side with either. Or like any, I can't like Rhaenyra. I can't like Alicent. I can't like Daemon. I don't know. They're just terrible. Terrible situation.
It is difficult to choose a place to go first. I feel like I still like Rhaenyra way better than most of them. I feel like Laenor is kind of being a bit of an idiot, but like he hasn't done anything really bad.
Yeah.
Where do we start? I guess with. All right, I've figured it out. So let's just start with the first scene. So Rhaenyra, did you realize immediately it was Rhaenyra?
Yes, of course.
Yes, okay. How long do they introduce that it's like the third kid? Not until she walks?
I don't remember. It was a while.
Because this is my obsession with wanting to get the EliteAri. What moment did you figure this out? But I remember when I figured it out when they actually see the kids talking and they're like Luke or something, not Luke, whatever his name was, Luce something and Jace or something. Luke and Jace are their smaller names. It's Lucerys and Jacaerys, not to be confused with Jaehaerys, who was the old king. Those are different names. Right. So Luke and Jake are like their shortened ones and what we can probably all call them. Now Luke is the second one and Jace is the older one.
Yes. Jace is the heir.
Now, obviously, the biggest thing and the biggest speculation going into this is, I guess the biggest one is new actors. But besides that, it's like because we knew it was a 10-year time skip, so we knew most of these kids would be born. We got a lot of kids to introduce this episode and a lot of kid actors. So this is going to be difficult. But I think they did almost a remarkably good job, especially they chose to focus the most on Aemond, which is Alicent's third kid. Who hadn't been born before the time
that
skip.
Explains a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
saw two of them, but there's a third one, right? Like a daughter or something. Yeah. Okay.
It went Aegon, who's the oldest one, who's jerking off out a window. Then we got Helaena, who's playing with centipedes and saying some very, 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 very interesting things. Do you know what I'm talking about,
Kyle?
Ari?
I thought Kyle. I thought that was Rhaenyra. Oh my god!
When she was playing with the bugs?
Yes.
Until this moment, you thought it was Rhaenyra.
And I was like, why is Rhaenyra playing with a bug?
There's no shot.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyway, now
I recontextualize some things in your head.
Jesus.
What
All
was I
right.
saying before that? Oh, yes. She said some incredibly interesting things, maybe the most interesting line of the entire show, but only for theory reasons that I'm toiling with discussing with you. That was this potential mild maybe, because it's so speculative. I don't know if it's a spoiler, but we'll get to that later. But
Oh, it
yes.
definitely. When I was listening to that, it felt like a spoiler, kind of, where she's like saying all this stuff, and we're cutting to her while Alicent is doing other stuff, and she's talking about like the eyes of this thing and how one of them has to be closed or
You
something. And
must
I'm like,
close an
okay, what's going on
eye.
here? Yeah.
She's weird. She likes animals. Are you seeing where I'm going
Yeah.
with this, Ari?
No.
There's
Likes
some
animals?
brand shit afoot, is my theory, Ari.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, like a
Well, it
walk
also has to do with
into
one thing that,
yeah.
like, she says one thing that is a heavy, like, if you know anything, which you don't, Ari, you know nothing. Lamau, Jon Snow, what a nine. But yes, there is a
Yeah. Wow.
massive bit of foreshadowing in there.
Yeah.
That makes me
Okay.
think: is she seeing the fucking future? Is that what we're doing right now?
Mm,
It's very interesting because
interesting.
Helena is an important character. There's like the thing, like maybe the second biggest thing that's known about the Dance of Dragons has to do with Helena very specifically.
Yep.
Um, so it's
Interesting.
but we don't. Helena is interesting because we really don't have much characterization about her. Um, so it was like an
Yep.
open book, and the way they've decided to go. I was focusing on Helena at the beginning. Is a very interesting decision for me, but I was talking about for our discussion, not the episode. But
Yes. Yes.
that is, I'm going to enjoy thinking about that. I think me and you are on the same side that we want some brand nonsense in this show.
Oh yes.
And
My goodness.
I jumped
It's
out
too
of my
good to be
seat.
true, though.
There were two moments that made me jump out of my seat, and they were neither for like actual reasons. They were both for meme reasons. That was the first one. Also, there was an image of her playing with the centipede. That was one of the images that they released during the week. So we were speculating about that. Helena's going to be interesting and weird. That's
Yep.
such an
I'm gonna
interesting.
rewatch that scene right after this.
Yes.
'Cause now that I know it's not Rhaenyra. Okay.
But yes, they're making fun of Aemond. Oh, the other thing that made me jump out of my seat is at the small council scene later when they mentioned that the Blackwoods and Brackens were fighting. Did you catch on to that, Ari?
Yes,
And
I
you
did.
go,
I did. I
"Can't
was
tell
like,
me
oh, I
about
know
that.
that
Tell me
story.
about that."
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. When I
Well,
was watching.
they're eating each other's grass or something, and they're very mad about it. And Alicent is very pissy that this is being brought to the small council in King's Landing when they are both beholden to Riverrun, to the Tullys. And Lord Tully, do you remember what the Lord's name was, Ari?
No.
No is the answer. It was Lord
Yep.
Grover Tully. Now, do you want to know what Lord
All right.
Grover Tully's grandchildren are called?
Catelyn.
Oscar
No, I don't
and
know.
Kermit. Do you want to know what his son is called?
Yeah. Go
Lord
ahead.
Elmo Tully. We've got Muppet references and they didn't cut it. It's the most incredible thing I've
Wow.
ever seen in my life. My tweet about this has 8 likes. I'm fucking famous. Somehow. And actually, I think it's grandchildren and great-grandchildren, by the way. I think Elmo's the grandson. I have his wiki page up here. Lord Elmo Tully posing all epically with his cool sword. He actually does do some cool shit way later on. But his
Oh,
name
that's
will
great.
be Elmo Tully with his 2 kids, Oscar and Kermit. It's going to be
Jesus.
incredible. Me and Minty talked about this a bunch. We're like, they have to change these fucking names. It's insane.
Nope.
The balls. This is more ballsy than Emma Aaron, anything she ever did. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. But those were my 2 tweets that I referenced to you before. Was one about Bran, and one was about how they kept Oscar Tully in, and how very excited I am about that. Now, actually, they only mentioned Oscar, so they could change Elmo and Kermit's name. Maybe you can get away with Grover.
Oh yeah.
But they
Oscar's
better
a pretty
fucking not.
normal name.
Yeah, Oscar is
Yeah.
normal, but it's the start of the
We'll
reference.
see.
It was just George being bored, and he's like, I've come up with so many fucking names for this Fire and Blood book. I'm so sick of this shit. We got Oscar and Kermit here. Shout out. Incredible stuff. Rhaenyra has 3 sons, and how long did it take you to realize who the father was, Ari? That's my next question.
So initially, when Alicent like whispers to Laenor and is like, "Oh, maybe the
yes.
next one will look like you," I know at that point I thought she was just being racist. I was like, "Oh man, all right." But then when we have the scene where we see the kids and we see Harwin there as well, I knew basically straight away, like from there.
Now, the racism is very interesting because obviously the Velaryons, well, I don't know if this is obvious, but in the books, they look exactly like the Targaryens. They're not black. Now, this was a change for the show, and there are some interesting implications initially when you hear that and you know the story of the Dance with Dragons, because Rhaenyra and Daemon also have kids. And since Rhaenyra's kids supposedly aren't his kids, it's like, well, are they going to make Rhaenyra and Daemon's kids look pretty white? Because if they're a quarter black, sometimes they might look more white than they do. But they almost have the same skin color as their mother. So it makes it even more obvious that obviously Rhaenyra is not the father of these kids if his sister is also having kids with a full-blooded Targaryen and they're coming out with pretty dark skin. So it's pretty obvious, and it's clever that they covered that. They just sort of exacerbate on it. But had you picked up on any Harwin Rhaenyra memes before this? Because there were slight bits of foreshadowing, but there wasn't a lot.
I haven't until this point. Now I'm trying to think of any.
Well, they were dancing together at the wedding slightly, and then Daemon came up and said, "Get back." Also, he caught her in the streets of King's Landing, and I think when we talked about that, I said, "Haha, Ari, that's going to be a thing." And he said, "Yes, Kyle," and then you forgot it. It was some
and then I forgot about it.
Yeah, there was one other one. Oh, when she's coming back with the pig, both Harwin and Larys are sitting there, and Harwin sort of smirks at her and seems kind of turned on that she killed the pig and has blood all over her. And she kind of looks at him. So those were maybe hints.
It's all set up. I like it.
But one of the things that I believe Minty might be mad about is how Harwin is dead at the end of this episode, and we probably could have used some more time. Did you also? I thought out of everything, it was a little. They weren't very obvious with who was dying at the end in Harrenhal. You got this, Ari? You are one of the smart ones.
Well, I was 100% certain that Harwin died, but then his dad, I wasn't sure until the very end, where Alicent's like, "Oh, they're dead" or something.
Yeah, they.
I'm like, "Oh, okay, I guess they both died."
Both of them died. Now that's another.
And then also in the inside of the episode, they talk about how they both died. But
an interesting thing, and this has to do with some other things, because in Fire and Blood, I think this has to do with the Daemon Rhaenyra, whatever what Daemon's first wife was called, the Royce. In Fire and Blood, it's like, oh, she fell from a horse, but some suspect something else was afoot. That's how they phrase the Harrenhal fire too. They say suspect that Larys may have done it to Thingy. And it turns out that both of these things were true. Now, my process going through Fire and Blood is usually they will give a mystery and then they'll have like 2 or 3 explanations. As like an example of Aegon getting a letter, and after he reads the letter, I think I've explained this to you before, but he decides to end the war with Dawn or something, and the speculations are like, what was in the letter? And it's like, oh, they threatened him with a faceless man, they said sorry, they did this. And usually my assumption is whenever Fire and Blood does this and gives multiple options, it's usually like, well, obviously none of the options they give are correct, and it's supposed to be something else you're supposed to puzzle out. But now that, like, I'm pretty sure in both of those examples, they only say, like, there's some suspicion. So it's like, I would have predicted that, like, neither of these things were true. Like, Daemon didn't kill his wife, and Larys didn't actually burn down Harrenhal. But it turns out, I guess, at least in not in Fire and Blood, at least in House of the Dragon, both of these things we're just supposed to accept at face value, which is interesting. Makes you recontextualize some things if you've actually read that book. But, yes. Larys is a crazy prick. How about that?
Yes, I was just trying to think. Yes, he is.
That was probably the most.
I just wonder what his like motivations are. Yeah.
So he kills his father and brother just to please the queen and get into her good graces. It seems.
Yeah.
A developing story here.
I don't really have much speculation. It's hard to know.
Feel like
I mean, I would assume he just wants to be powerful, but I don't know why.
He wants more influence, perhaps. He seems to be Alicent's, like, besides Kristen Cole's only ally there. Yeah, I nearly said a mild spoiler again, but that one I won't say.
Oh my goodness.
I was going to say, except for that, and then never mind.
Yep.
She's got her kids too, I guess, and Viserys will listen to her a little bit, but
Yep. He's busy dying.
Yes. Larys, I think that's like the most evil outright thing. Like, I guess what the crab feeder was doing was more evil, and I guess Daemon killing his wife is more evil, and him also falsely surrendering and then attacking in a horrible war crime was probably more evil, but it's like the most... He was kind of...
Kristen beating Joffrey to death.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty evil.
But
completely unjustified. Yeah.
But Also, obviously, the kid's named after that Joffrey. How cute. Laenor came up with
Well,
it.
yeah, that was interesting. Like,
Yeah.
why name the third kid after Joffrey, not the like first or second? Weird.
Well, it seems like he didn't get much of a say because both of the other ones are very Valyrian names, as Alison points out, because they end with Caris or whatever. It's Joff Caris. It's just dumb Joffrey. And I assume this is where they get Joffrey Baratheon from, though, of course, that was probably the first one. Obviously, it was the first one that George came up with. I don't think he was thinking about Joffrey Lonmouth back in 1996 or whatever.
You never know.
Maybe it was all a master plan and he had a backstory. Will all Joffrey be pricks? We'll have to wait and see. What were we talking about this? Oh, Larry's doing an evil thing. It was the most like Littlefinger of not even Varys. Varys doesn't do that evil stuff in the show, I guess. But it's like he's smiling afterwards, where he's like, and then he's kind of tacitly threatening Alicent, like, "You'll reward me in the future."
Yeah.
It seemed like cruel in a way that House of the Dragon really has not really done outside of, I guess, war scenarios or wife scenarios with Daemon. Did you get that feel, or is it just like another pebble in the road?
So I didn't feel it was particularly evil at all, but I did feel that it was very like sinister or like Machiavelli or something. Like, because obviously he's saying a speech over a bunch of like
that was another like
which is really interesting.
Littlefinger thing for end of episodes. Yeah. They used to do that all the time. That's where Chaos is a ladder came from. But yeah.
Yep.
I actually meant to go back and listen to that because I was barely listening. I was looking at what was on screen.
Oh, it's a great. But
I ended up not doing
children and death and yeah.
Yeah. So we've jumped around a lot. I think let's talk about these fucking kids then, one by one. All right. So the oldest one is Prince Aegon. Now, despite him jerking off out the window, I feel like he was made remarkably likable in this episode as like a dumb teenager. For good and for bad, obviously he's horny all the time. He's looking at the girls as they pass. That is an Aegon characteristic. Apparently he fucks a lot. And Viserys doesn't care because he's old and whatever. But he also, like, when Alicent comes in and is like, your sister will be queen, and he's like, I don't give a fuck, let her be queen. And Alicent sort of has to drill into him, like, no, you're going to be king, you fucking idiot. And even afterwards, he's kind of like, it was kind of funny. I thought it was cute and endearing for Aegon. Yeah, and he's bullying his little brother with his little cousins. It's kind of cute. Though he also has that outburst when they're training, when he talks to her and he's like, you just put your hand on a prince or whatever, and Viserys says Aegon or something, and to calm him down and to say, don't act like that. But he's like a little petulant teenager. He's got some funny aspects. He's cruel sometimes. I thought they did a pretty good job with young Aegon. How about, what did you think of it?
Well, I think he's the only kid which I can say has a personality. Like, I don't think I could name or like talk about any of the other ones. Only him. Well, and I agree. Is great. I liked him. Yeah.
Well, Aemond, I think the episode focuses on him way more. So I guess I don't know if he has that.
Wait,
much
which one's
personality.
Aemond?
Well, we're talking about the oldest one. Aemond is the second youngest one without the dragon, who they're making fun of.
Oh, yes.
Who we sort of see things through. He ends up going down into the pit, and I think it's Syrax that he sees, which is Rhaenyra's dragon. But yeah, and then he gets spooked and run away, and they have this pig for him. That was a pretty cool scene where they're like teaching, basically. I don't remember if it was Luke or Jez were learning with their dragon how to like command it and things like that. And he's excited to say Jacaerys, and he gets to say it. How cute. But Luke and Jace don't get that much characterization, I wouldn't say, especially compared to their cousins.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there much to say about them? I'm not sure.
No, not really. I guess the only thing is the fight they have. Not like each other, but they fight their cousins.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
And in the courtyard, which oh fuck, I had something to say, but then I lost it, and then I started thinking about Kristen Cole and Harwin fighting. There is the one moment with Jacaerys, the oldest one, where he basically asks Rhaenyra if he's a bastard, because they seem to not know, and they seem to think Laenor is their father. And obviously they're probably hearing things around accusatorily. But she basically kisses him and says, you're a Targaryen, that's all that matters, which is kind of true, I guess, even though his last name is at this point still Velaryon, even though he's not a Velaryon. So who is he? But yeah, he gets that scene. I think we are going to be skipping ahead. Obviously, all of these kids have older actors. I guess that's a mild spoiler too, but they have been cast older. So I don't know how much time we're going to get with them. Like that Rhaenyra actress last time was pretty good, but she got like 2 scenes, and there's a new one now.
Yep.
But I guess we can talk about the Kristen Cole Harwin fight that sort of spurs everything else in the episode afoot. Now, do you remember what I said last time about this fight?
Oh, was it this fight? I remember you saying they fought and then Harwin had his leg injured or something.
Yeah, so now this has been entirely cut, and this can't be a spoiler because Harwin's dead, so they can't do this in the future.
Yeah.
And in the book, at the same time, like, because Joffrey dies in a melee in the book. They have a melee for whatever the event was. I think it was Rhaenyra's wedding, yes, because Kristen is obviously pissy at Rhaenyra's wedding, so he accidentally hits Joffrey in the head with his fucking Morning Star thing that he used in the fight with Daemon in the first episode, and he gets killed. And it's easier to write off as accidental in the melee than it is at dinner, so they changed that a little bit. But also in that same melee, he breaks Harwin Strong's bones, and that's why he's called Break Bones, not because he's super good fighter. Also, Harwin is supposed to be like the mountain size, probably not that big, but he's supposed to be like a giant. Instead, he's pretty. His father's also supposed to be a giant, but like he's unsuspectingly smart, and that's supposed to be like his characterization. They changed the Strongs quite a bit. Larry seems to be pretty similar to how he was described, though. So the one that's going to be around the longest, I guess they are focused on.
Yep.
But so that was a big change. They changed it entirely because then they had them fight, and they had Kristen get beat up, though he didn't fight back too hard, and he was sort of proving a point by getting beat up. So my boy Kristen could still win, guys. If we're power scaling here, actually, I don't know. I don't know if it's show power scaling, but it's very interesting because this was in the preview for last episode. So it was like, are they going to do it? But it was like Harwin beating down on him. So we were like, is Kristen going to kick him off and beat the shit out of him? But well, that's a perfect way to do a preview.
Maybe my favorite scene.
Yeah.
Like, I really like that. Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, because these kids are fighting first, and then they start fighting, and I was like, anything can happen here. What's going on? What's this going to mean? Ramifications, man, crazy. Viserys is there watching. What a scene.
Yeah.
Loved it.
And Lionel is right there too.
Yep.
Looking
a bit older.
Yes, he was balding too. It's obviously Kristen goats him into it, and Kristen's being a prick, and he's not showing he's showing favoritism clearly to Alicent's kids over Rhaenyra's.
Yep.
I think I must have brought this up to you, but the running fan theory that the oldest one of Rhaenyra's kids is actually Kristen Cole's kid. I don't think the show is doing this, but did I just bring that up to you at some point? Or is this the first year into this? Oh, maybe.
No, but, I guess I've always speculated that because we don't know if she took the drink or not.
Yeah, I think we did talk about that then. But the irony would be here is that he's shitting on his own fucking kid if that's the case, which is the whole irony to the Kristen Cole thing. Like, he's very mean to Rhaenyra's kids. And if one of them was his, what an irony. What a Game of Thrones-esque irony that would be. But it seems to not be the case. Though he has brown hair too.
Very well could be.
But I feel like in Fire and Blood it might be, but he's supposed to Rhaenyra's supposed to get pregnant like immediately after her wedding, so the timing could work. I mean, that's Fire and Blood stuff, I guess, but yeah. But that has ramifications throughout the whole episode. Lionel tries to resign, Viserys won't let him. Alicent's trying to get him to resign, probably for obvious reasons. We know who she wants to be Hand of the King.
Which is ridiculous. I don't know why Viserys would allow Otto back at all, but yeah. I can't. If Otto comes back next episode as the Hand of the King, they will have to do a big thing in convincing me that Viserys allowed it. So I'm going to be very interested.
Well, perhaps we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, there was also one dude on the small council that I didn't recognize that I wanted to look up, but I didn't do it. There was one dude at the end next to Jason Lannister.
Yeah, on the right.
Wait, no, Tywin
okay.
Lannister. Now, I don't know my left and rights, Ari, so that was pretty mean to bring up lefts and rights.
Oh, yeah.
But now that I think about it, I think he was on the right, and I think because Lord Beesbury is on the other side, and he's been there since the beginning, but he seemed to be going senile or something because he tried to talk about something they'd moved on from. That was a little detail that I noticed.
I just thought they were just talking over him. It was great.
Yeah, it could have been that too. But yes.
No, I like the senile theory. That's great.
Alicent and Rhaenyra are both at the small council meeting. Now, I think this might be a thing for the show because I don't think Alicent would have ever been allowed on Viserys' small council. But it was interesting nonetheless. Obviously, it's to establish that they're feuding still. Let's talk about Alicent.
Rhaenyra apologizes.
And then boobs start leaking and everybody laughs at her and she hates Alicent even more.
Yep.
But Alicent throughout the episode, let's talk about this. She was very mean, Ari. Do we agree on this?
It's tough. I don't know. Because when I was first going through, I was like, wow, she's being very... Like, firstly, I was thinking, why after these 10 years does she still hate Rhaenyra? Like, what has Rhaenyra done so terribly to her that this hatred has lasted this long for her to be so petty? And then I guess in the way I saw it, and maybe I've missed something, but it's just the fact that Rhaenyra has not changed her ways at all. Like, she is still being that entitled person that that I saw her as last episode, I guess, and I guess that's the same way that Alicent saw her, and I don't know. I think that's what I got. I couldn't tell if like I wouldn't say that Alicent is like justified in anything she's doing, but it's like it's not as bad as I initially thought.
Now, because I bring up Minty every time we talk about Alicent, but I think his fear is going to be that the vast majority of people are going to hate Alicent a lot more now. I would say that's probably true. Now, I think I think like the intent here now. Me talking about intent. Is for Rhaenyra to kind of be doing the wrong thing, but for everything she does to be like likable, so we like her in spite of her fathering her kids with bastards. Though even then fathering her kids with bastards? No, fathering her kids as bastards with Harwin Strong. But she kind of has to. Laenor can't give her kids, so she's kind of stuck in that position, so you can't really blame her for that. Other than that, how's she being entitled, Ari? You hate-ass hater?
Well, she's choosing to live here instead of listening to Laenor and leaving, right? Or was that like a new thing that was brought up? Like, is that not like?
Well, where does Laenor?
Like, I don't know what the situation. Well, he wanted to leave to go to Dragonstone, right?
Well, she wants to leave to go to Dragonstone at the end.
Yeah, but that was Laenor's suggestion, wasn't it?
No, I think it was hers. Laena suggests to Daemon to go back to Driftmark.
Wait, so you know the scene where Laenor comes in drunk?
Yeah, but he wants to go to war in the Stepstones. That's where he wants to go.
Oh, so okay.
Because he's remembering his fun times back there. Because he even brings that up earlier when he's like, I got a lanced once, when he's trying to relate to Rhaenyra's pain. But yeah, I don't think he wanted to go to Dragonstone. Dragonstone is her seat. She is Princess of Dragonstone as well.
Yes.
And she does go there at the end of the episode, of course.
Then why do I hate Rhaenyra so much? What has she done that's so terrible?
Perhaps you hate women, EliteAri. Have you considered that?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Because you're not even doing this as a cool Alicent apologist. You're hating all the women.
No, I feel like I had a reason for hating Rhaenyra, but maybe I didn't.
Well, last time you were talking about how she was kind of and she was as a younger person disregarding kind of the people around her a little bit, and kind of just doing what she wanted.
Yeah,
which she kind of
my
still
reason
is,
for hating her when she was younger is very clear. Like it's because she had the opportunity to leave and be done of everything that she didn't want,
Kristen thing,
and she decided to stay. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why I detested her when she was younger. But now maybe there is no reason to dislike her as much as I do.
She is a little mean to Laenor sometimes, but he's kind of being oblivious back, so it's kind of like a mutual thing where I don't think you're going to get a big back and forth. And she does try to apologize to Alicent in this episode, which is interesting, and Alicent is having none of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like
I'm going around, you know?
There are other Rhaenyra scenes, but I can't remember them right now. I know.
Yep.
But I guess the next place to jump to is all the Daemon stuff. Daemon is visiting Pentos with Laena and their children. They've got 2 kids, Rhaela and Mr. Names has forgot a name. And it
Oh
starts with
my
an A.
God.
Area. I think it might be area because it sounds so much like Arya that it's insane, but it's not spelled the same. And sometimes I think George says Aya, which they say sometimes in Game of Thrones too. Who knows how you say Arya?
Aya.
Aya,
Arya.
Arya. It's one of the two,
Aya.
but Rhaenyra is also the Mad King's wife's name, so that can be a little confusing. Rhaenyra is also an older Targaryen girl who I was reading about in Fire and Blood.
So is Visenya.
Yes, Visenya is one. But no, you're thinking
And
about
Rhaenys.
Rhaenys is the other sister wife. Rhaenyra is a different one, but she is named after Rhaenys because she is Rhaenys' granddaughter. Crazy stuff, Ari. Crazy stuff.
Crazy.
But one of the I think they are twins. I'm almost certain they're twins. One of them doesn't have a dragon as well. She's sad about that.
Yep.
Her egg didn't hatch when she was a baby. The other ones did. The Pentoshi dude, who is also scared of the Triarchy, even though he is of the Free Cities, because the Triarchy is of 3 specific Free Cities and not all of them.
Yes.
Pentos is also where Dany and Viserys are at the beginning of the show, in episode 1 in the beginning of the books. The fat dude was clearly supposed to be. True. Oh, shit. Do you think she has Drogon's egg?
Well, that's what I was thinking, but I doubt it.
I think I
it's
had
not
that
the same
thought initially
color,
too.
is it?
I think it was like black, but
I
there
don't
are
know.
theories
Maybe.
about where the 3 eggs come from that Dany had, and I think the theory is not this part because I don't know if this Pentoshi visit is in the book. Also, Lena dies this episode, but we'll get to that because that's sick, bro. They kind of didn't, because they mentioned previously that Lena was getting betrothed to the Sea Lord of Braavos' son.
Did they?
Yeah, they say that in one of the small council meetings where Corlys is off, and they're like, well, he's trying to get other allies, because they say, I'm absolutely sure they say that Lena was being betrothed to the Sea Lord of Braavos' son. Now, in Fire and Blood, Daemon goes over there and kills that bastard. They cut that from the show.
That's my Daemon.
But yes. It's interesting how they did the Lena and Daemon stuff, because in the book, it's kind of supposed to be like Daemon finds his match in Lena, because they are very similar and they are being rogues together and crazy people and flying all over the place. As they mention in the episode, Lena has Vhagar, which is the biggest dragon alive.
Yes.
That was Visenya's dragon, Ari knows. It's the biggest and oldest dragon still alive because Rhaenys dies in Dawn and Balerion died after Viserys rode him that one time. It was a cool little detail that on her saddle there were ropes because she can't just get off the saddle because the dragon's so big. She has to climb down like it's a pirate ship in black sails. That was sick.
Love it.
There was our black sails mention. We roped it in. I don't think there are any other ships in this episode for us to figure it in any other way. But yes, they're riding together. That was a scene from one of the trailers where it actually looked like Daemon was outstretching his hand, but he was actually just posing. But it looked like he was giving his hand to Lena in one, and I was like, oh, that's so cute. They love each other. But they it seems like they have a respect and potential love for each other, though it's a bit icy, and Lena even says in one scene, I'm not the wife you wanted. Though clearly his dick be working, because I'm pretty sure those kids are his. But yeah, what did you think about this whole thing? Besides, I guess you could talk about the Lena death if you want to right now. All of this stuff.
I don't know. I thought it was the least interesting part of the episode. I like them getting together, I guess, and having kids. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it was teased briefly last time. They were flirting a little bit.
Yeah. I guess the biggest impact that this whole storyline had on me is the fact that Daemon is a bad father, I guess. The fact that he prioritizes one child, and then also how in the end when they're grieving over the death of their mother, he just leaves. I'm like, man, all right.
There was a released image that I don't think was in the episode from this episode, which was Daemon sitting on the roof looking at his 2 kids as they're sad. So it basically we all figured out that this was the episode Lena was going to die. Because she dies in birth, that was a thing, and she dies going to Vhagar, supposedly in the books, wanting to fly again. But she actually makes it to him, but we'll talk about that in a second.
And wants to die.
Yes. What was it? Oh, there was a released image that made it look like Daemon was being a really cute, good father, and that never happened in the episode, so the images were misleading a little bit. But yes, he clearly prioritizes the one that can fly a dragon over the other one, which shows that maybe he's just doing it for selfish reasons because he wants more dragon riders that will be loyal to him.
Yeah.
Yes, Damon. He also like they're
Yeah,
basically
he's going down in my rankings. I don't know. He
yeah.
did bad this episode. Yeah.
He kind of killed his wife last time, but this is where we draw the line.
Yep.
Two dead wives now. He's
Yeah.
single again, Ari. You've got a chance.
Yeah. Actually, well, yeah. Wait,
We'll talk about
unrelated
that.
to that. Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know where Damon's story is going from here. Absolutely no idea.
Oh, well, basically the gist of it is, right, he's kind of trying to sell himself as kind of a sellsword and his family as sellswords as, like, sell dragons.
No,
So,
no, I get his current
Yeah.
situation, but like
I
in
was
the
just
grander
describing it.
story,
I wasn't
like,
trying to explain it.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that is an interesting thing of, like, she thinks they're better than this or something, and he doesn't want to go home, but she does, and he seems to be in a... There was one line he had that felt very defeatist and very anti everything Damon had been up until this point. So this is clearly like the slump in his arc. Maybe he'll rise again, Ari, and you'll love him.
No, okay, wait. That's interesting because I mean, despite how much like my appreciation of him went down or my dislike of him went down this episode, I did like that he was avoiding the politics. How he's like, I'm just leaving, I'm done with it all. Even if it is out of depression, I guess probably. When Lena was like, she wanted to go and like retrieve her birthright and go back to the politics and all that. I was like, no, Damon, please stay out of this. You're living a good life. So I don't know.
She wants to see
I
her
don't want
mommy
him
and
to,
daddy
like,
again. It's okay.
yeah, but you can visit them. You don't have to like
Yeah.
live there permanently.
Well, it is
So
her
I think
seat.
I would not. I don't want Damon to get back into this politics. Stay out of that. You know.
Do you think he's going to stay in Pentos?
I wouldn't know.
The story
but I
demands
wish he would.
otherwise, but yes.
Yeah.
Why is he depressed, Ari? I'll let you speculate.
I don't
Why?
know. Well,
Is it
that's
just
the
because
thing,
he isn't
'cause
married to Rhaenyra? Because she's the wife he
Yeah, I mean
wants?
that seems like the most likely reason. Because the last time we saw him was at the wedding when they're about to kiss or whatever.
Yeah.
And since then, I don't know what's happened in his life. Obviously, he's left. Where was he before? Was he still at Dragonstone?
Well, he'd come back to King's Landing for a second. No, he would have, because he went to the Vale first after he got exiled in
Yeah.
episode 4 again. So I don't know where he was
yes,
staying.
yes.
I guess probably. Well, I
Yes.
guess afterwards he went to Driftmark and he got married to Lena and.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he's just maybe he's just sad. Maybe it's a grander sense of depression where it's like his whole life is just not led to where he wanted, and now he's
Yeah.
like dwelling in it because he's like starting to slow down. He's had kids. He's got a family. Maybe he's like,
Yes.
this isn't really what I wanted. That's what I would imagine.
Because he does have a thing of like, we would be safe here, we would be happy here, and she says like, if you actually wanted to be here, you would like go into the city and have fun or something, but you
Yeah.
just stay in the mansion and read histories, which is interesting because that's something Viserys does. Now, Viserys parallels with
boy.
Daemon here are obviously numerous because now it's Daemon's wife that's having problems with the pregnancy, and the doctor gives him the same conundrum.
Yes.
But Lena says, fuck you, I'm going to get burnt, which was really cool, a really cool parallel. The way Lena's death is described, well, I was going to say in the book, but I guess on the wiki page that I read, is very cool. It's like, oh, she goes delirious, because she dies on Driftmark, which is interesting, because she doesn't die on Driftmark. They are in Pentos. And she, like, basically starts hallucinating. I think she might have the baby first, because the whole C-section stuff is all show original. So probably they put that in because they wanted to make the parallel, which is very clever. The parallel still exists in Fire and Blood. They both just die in there from birthing issues. But she's, like, goes delirious and, like, is heading towards where Vhagar is on Driftmark or whatever. I don't know if they have a dragon pit or if they're just chained up outside or something, and she's hallucinating because she wants to ride one more time or something. It's very cute, and this was more cool than cute, I think, but I appreciated it nonetheless. Vhagar looks hideous. He's clearly been in some wars, this fella. He's very old. His face is all wonky. He doesn't want to do it initially, which is very, very cute, and she has to say it like 7 times, and the music swells, and Daemon watches in aurement. Aurment? Like torment, but in awe.
I don't know that word.
He's awestruck.
Yes.
The music swelling and stuff was very interesting for that moment. How do we read?
I
all
also
of this?
agree. Yeah, because to me, it's like this is like the most music they've like blatantly put in the show, where it's like you're meant to feel something here, and I didn't know what to feel. I was like, oh, why do they want me to feel like sad for Daemon or something? Like she was gonna die anyway. Like
I think
I
the
just
Lena
didn't know
death
what to feel.
I think the Lena death is a scene, like as I described, that fans are sort of looking forward to, and this is sort of delivering on that. So I think I guess that would mean it's fan service, but also I think it's a big moment for Daemon's character. I think him looking at this and seeing like going out in a blaze of glory, perhaps literally, might be something he might embody in the future.
Interesting.
Which is a developing story, I guess. I think I should have looked through this episode again, because I'm like, there are scenes after that with Daemon with the kids, but I can't entirely remember, because they're just like crying, right? And he kind of just walks out.
That's the only one I remember. Yeah. Maybe there are others.
There's a lot
and we see her like burnt corpse, just like the bones. At the end. Crazy.
Yeah. A lot of burning in this episode, obviously. The goat, the Harrenhal, the Lena.
Yep.
Lots of these. But yeah, I don't know. I like the Daemon stuff. I didn't think it was the least interesting stuff, like Ari said.
Kyle. This is my favorite episode of the show, right? Even the least interesting stuff is great.
What's so good about this episode, huh, Ari?
Everything. Every scene is great.
That you love.
Name me one bad scene here.
Right?
No, actually, let me see. I got a bunch of notes. here. But, let me see. We get this amazing. I'm going back to completely disregarding everything we were just talking about at the beginning of the episode, when Rhaenyra and Laenor walking up the stairs. It's just great. Like it's just a really long one shot.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, like just the framing of it, and they're like holding each other, and it's so great. And that guy walks and he's like, "You want some help?" And she's like, "Yeah, but maybe one day you can help me."
Yeah.
It
was a lord
that whole
too.
Getting there.
What was the lord's name, Ari?
Yeah.
There's no way you remember.
I don't know.
I was going to look that up afterwards,
and I was like,
see
"Is
if
this
it was
important?"
Like a tease. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, because that scene, as I mentioned, was one of the ones that came out, and yeah, me and Ari were gushing about how cute she was in it and like how likable.
Yep.
Because Alicent has summoned her immediately after birth, which she knows what she's doing to basically gloat. And even Viserys coming in and being so happy is like a cute Viserys moment.
I really like Viserys this episode.
Yes, I think
like a nice person who just wants all this drama to be done.
Which has kind of been what he's been the whole time, right? Is Viserys is like
but at least in this, he's not being manipulated finally, so we can root for him, you know.
I don't know.
At least I can.
Always been manipulated, but we've talked about that before.
What are you talking? Have we talked? He was being manipulated the entire show. What do you mean?
He was cognizant of the manipulation, I believe. But
oh boy.
Anyway, oh fuck! I had something to say about this goddamn scene. The Alicent like introduction, because obviously it's like we to introduce the new actors, like we're immediately on Rhaenyra. It's sort of like, oh, when are we going to see Alicent? And then it goes through and it's a very regal, queenly entrance where you see her from outside the door and we slowly get close and you don't sort of get a full sight of her, and then there's like women attending to her. I don't know, it felt very like, I'm the bitch queen now, fuck you, come to me. And she looked that was some neat camera work characterization. Also, Kristen is right outside because he's her sworn protector now. I don't think they ever said that explicitly, but he's always with her.
I got the impression.
He used to be Rhaenyra's sworn protector since she was a little girl.
But then she wronged him.
Yes. Yeah. She somethinged him. But yes, that was all good. I guess the main criticism that's potential for this episode is that it's rushed. I think there was there was a weird feeling towards the back end of the episode that I had, which I haven't had before. Actually, I think I had it a little bit at the end of last episode, but that like subsided, even before we talked, I think. But this one's still lingering a little bit. But even before, I was like, there's some like I should have gone back to look at this episode. So I'm very inclined to believe that this feeling will sort of change as I look at the episode again and think about it a little bit more. But I want to hear more of Ari's what Ari loves about this scene. Not scene, but
scene.
Episode.
There's only so much I can say. All right. Oh yeah, for the episode. Let me go over all my brilliant notes here.
I think I've done all mine. So.
Child. Spoiled cunt, absolutely. Which I might have to revisit now. We've already talked about Daemon and Lena wanting to be better than the common folk.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Aegon. Oh, Aegon gives a lot of. He looks a lot like Viserys from Game of Thrones. That's what I got. Like the way he acts and the way he looks, even.
Aemond or Aegon?
Aegon,
Hmm.
specifically. Like
I saw a lot of
Viserys is in
people saying he looked like
Dany's
Griffith.
brother.
I saw a few Twitter memes about this,
Oh.
which I didn't really get. But
No, I definitely didn't get that. But
I don't know if
Viserys,
I got
absolutely.
Viserys either, though.
Crazy. He looks identical to me.
I like his
What
wig, by the
else?
way. I like most of the kids' wigs.
I like everyone's wig in this show. Like I've seen people. I remember you complained in episode 1. Maybe you're still complaining, but I
Yeah.
disagree heartily. I love every single wig.
Wait.
I haven't seen a bad wig.
Damon has long hair again, right? I think I've only just realized this. Yeah, he does.
Oh, I no, actually, I didn't
I
internalize
didn't even.
that at all.
But his short hair was so cool, Ari. Can you believe?
Yeah, it was.
this?
Yeah, that was great.
Oh, it's not as long as it used to be, I guess. Lena's wig is very good, though. Anyway, wigs,
Yep.
Lamau. I like Aegon's hair.
Yes. Yeah, that's good to hear. I'm sure to get longer over time. Okay, we forgot about the second best, or arguably the best scene in this show so far. Lionel getting angry at
Oh
his
yeah, that
son,
was pretty
and they're
good.
yelling at each other as Rhaenyra's like there, like, watching silently. I just thought it was so great, mainly because I've been wanting throughout this entire show to get really passionate, like yelling scenes.
Yeah.
Like we got from Robert in like season 1 of Game of Thrones. Like, man, I want to get stuff. We got it here. It's great. Father son yelling at each other. Love it.
Now I talk about the dialogue differences nearly fucking every time we talk, but
Yep.
even in his anger there, it was still very evident that he was admitting certain words. Like I feel like if it was Robert, he would have said, "Quit fucking the princess" or
Yeah.
whatever. But he's like, "Your intimacy with the princess" or whatever. Which is
Yep.
it's just a continuation of sort of the differences. But yes, that scene is I like it a lot. It's cool.
It was cool to see Lionel just so angry. Like, because obviously he's been so
Yeah.
subdued throughout the entire thing, and he seems like such a nice person, and it's cool to see him so passionate about like how this terrible situation his son has placed him in.
Yeah.
It's great. We hear more about the Triarchy coming back, allied with Dawn now. Crazy.
Yep. There's a Martell.
I
mention.
disregarded the crab feeder initially, so I'm not going to disregard it this time. I feel that's going to be a big deal. But I don't know
Perhaps,
what
perhaps.
exactly. Yes.
Oh fuck! I was going to say something about Dawn. Oh, just a reminder: Dawn is not part of the Seven Kingdoms yet. Well, when they say Seven Kingdoms, they include Dawn because they pretend that they're ruling Dawn, but they aren't at all. Because Aegon, I got to that part in Fire and Blood. He declares himself Lord of the Seven Kingdoms. The first time he conquers Dawn, but everybody ran away, and then like they came back 2 weeks later when all the dragons left and said "fuck you."
Yes, I remember that.
And then they all hide and kill him from the mountaintops and stuff. And the Targaryens never conquer Dawn, not even once, not even after the Dance of Dragons. They get Dawn into the Seven Kingdoms through marriage, through a girl named Daenerys, actually, the only other Daenerys in history.
Oh, really?
Yep, Dornish Daenerys is a big character. And Darion something. Basically, Daenerys is sent from King's Landing to marry the Martell that rules in Dorne, and a Dornish princess is sent to be queen, which I think is the only time besides Elia, who is Oberyn's older sister and Rhaegar's queen, that ever happened. But also a Dane from Starfall, which is also in Dawn, which is Arthur Dane and the cool sword at the Tower of Joy and everything. I think Egg from the Dunk and Egg books ends up marrying a Dane. So there's some Dornish princesses, but those were specifically Martells. I was covering my bases before somebody called me out there. Ari.
Yes,
See, we got to do these things.
No, you sounded very knowledgeable. I liked it.
I'm the most knowledgeable man in all of knowledge.
Yes, you never get anything
Martells.
wong. I like it.
Will we meet
All
them
right,
someday? We'll have to wait and see.
I'm sure we will. I'm certain we will meet this person in charge of
I don't remember
Dawn.
his name. Uh-oh.
Yep.
Something
No,
Martell.
don't worry.
Oh, but
he'll come.
Aegon also, because the Targaryens and the Dornish are feuding at this point, says you can't trust a Martell. What a racist this Viserys is.
Yep.
But there's still blood Blair. You get what I'm saying.
I completely understand. Okay. What other notes do I have? I mean, I can. Okay, so this scene I can understand why she's doing it, but I thought it was interesting that Rhaenyra is even pretending to Laenor that the kids are his. Like, obviously they both know that it's not. He's not the dad, and it's like she's trying to make sure that this fantasy does not burst. Like she doesn't want to even admit it to someone who
Well,
knows the truth, and she knows the truth that he knows as well.
he obviously has to act like their father almost always, right? Because not even the kids realize that
Yeah,
Harwin
yeah.
is their kid, though the older one has suspicions because he's probably around a lot.
Yep.
But yeah, but she was kind of guilt tripping him with that, right? Like they're your real kids too, or something. She says, it's clearly a very complicated dynamic going on, and he clearly is not. Is this dynamic does not make him happy because he's out with boys all the time. She says, and he has a new one. I think his name is Carl. I probably should know his name, but I do like
Sounds
how
similar
this
to Kyle.
maybe, haha. Fuck, what was I gonna say? Oh,
What a joke.
there sort of is like there's 3 scenes I think with I guess if you include the first one of the episode, there's 4 scenes with Rhaenyra and Rhaenyra, and it sort of goes into like they're fighting, and then it comes out the other end because she's nice to him at the end when we're like, all right, we're going to Dragonstone, and you can bring him with us. We need all the swords we can use or whatever, which is nice. It's cute that they had a fight and then kind of resolved it in this episode. I thought that was good. But yeah, she did say that to him, where like they're your kids too. You can't just run away doing whatever you want or whatever. And that's the scene where he's like, oh, I want to go back and fight and be a knight again. Because it's funny because the way he says like I am a knight or something, it's like the way somebody who isn't a knight would say it, like, oh, you've never even fought a battle. But we have seen him, like he was fighting for like months, getting fucked over by the crab feeder and shit like that. So he actually is. He's just kind of washed up and stuff. So I liked that as character.
And he was drunk.
Too. Yeah. But any more notes, Mr. Ari? Or did you have more to say about
don't
that?
you worry. No, that's all I have for that. We briefly talked about this, but I mean, also we speculated. I speculated on this, but Alicent talking about Otto, about how like he would be partial to her, and she wants that basically.
Yeah.
Is interesting. It's like she I don't know.
feels
It's
alone.
a bit. She feels alone, but also it means that she doesn't want, like, I don't know. She's not being very moral in that. Obviously, you'd want a hand of the king to be like an impartial advisor.
Yeah, it is a break. Now this is interesting because this is the scene as I mentioned, and that part was the scene that was shown beforehand. And when me and Minty had seen this, and what we said about this was like, oh, we're basically getting cute Alicent and cute Rhaenyra, because Alicent is kind of indulging in that scene. She's kind of, because Alicent a lot of the time is, because I think she even has a line in this episode about how she's like about honor and something else, or whereas like she follows all the rules. We talked about this last time, like she's sort of envious of Rhaenyra because she gets to go out and break the rules and have fun while she's stuck at home with fucking a 40-year-old husband, and not someone her own age, and not someone that's very attractive. And Rhaenyra gets to go out and fuck all the prettiest boys, Harwin Strong, Nilly Damon, and Kristen. There is a line in here because I'm on the Alicent and Kristen should be fucking train, though that isn't in the book, so that's not a spoiler. It's my pure speculation. This will probably happen after she's a W word, a widow, if that happens. No spoilers.
Well, I'm sure it'll happen, Kyle. Don't worry.
Viserys is going to die,
Viserys is
Ari,
dying.
I'm sorry.
I am certain.
But I don't think she would ever do that when he's still alive, again, because of her law following, honor stuff.
Yeah.
Where are we going with this? I was saying that she's like that. Oh, and this scene is sort of her like breaking that veneer I've been saying it veneer a lot these last few recording sessions, by the way. It's a word that's come to me. It's like a veil, a fakeness, her front.
Right.
She's going to bring that down.
Facade.
And she brings down the facade for that one scene where she admits to Loras, like, I just want my father to be here because he'll do shit for me and he'll be on my side and fuck what's true. It's all about me and I'm sad. But yeah. But then when the episode came out, it was Alicent being evil the whole time. Evil might be a strong word, but she's being a bitch, and everybody's going to turn on her.
No.
There was also a thing, and I guess this is something to bring up, which is Minty was concerned that younger Alicent and older Alicent were too different. Especially...
in what? Just like the acting?
Yeah, I do get it a little bit. I do feel like they are very different characters. Like, I don't know if I could picture younger Alicent doing any of the things or acting in this regard.
For me, Alicent was the best recast of all of them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was really well done. Yeah,
Interesting.
that's all I
Yeah.
can say, I guess. Yeah,
There's
or Damon. Yeah,
yeah,
my
Damon.
goodness.
He got a great recasting, this fella.
Yep.
But
Thank
yeah,
God he wasn't recast. All right. Yeah. Anyway.
he was
Yeah.
already 30 when the show began, Ari. It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I noticed, by the way, in the credits, because there was a meme in, like, for the longest time that Peter Dinklage was always the first name in the credits, or maybe it wasn't him, but it was somebody. And for the first time, I was looking for it because I was like, oh, Emma Darcy and Olivia Cooke are going to pop up. And it goes Paddy Constantine, which is Viserys, who is an established actor.
Oh.
He's not as
Yeah.
popular as Matt Smith. Matt Smith is probably the draw for the show. It's their Sean Bean this time around. He goes second. Wasn't the meme that Sean Bean was in the credits for like everything up until like season 4 or something, and he was always first? I think
God,
that might have
I
been
don't
the meme. But it was just like, yeah,
That's
we are
pretty
very
awesome.
thankful that people wanted to watch the show because Sean Bean was in it, and it became the biggest thing in the world. Thank you.
Yep.
But it was interesting because it went Paddy Constantine, Matt Smith, and then I think it was Olivia Cooke first, then Emma Darcy, which is younger, older, Alicent, and then Rhaenyra. It was just something I noticed and looked for.
Yep. I did notice there were names there, and I read them this time, and I knew they were the new actors, but I didn't know if it was always like that. I was like, oh, maybe they've always had the old actors there.
I haven't paid attention once. I don't know if in the old one it was their names in that order again.
Yeah.
But yes. What were we talking about before that?
Oh boy. Let me. Alicent and Otto.
Oh yes, and I was saying that Alicent is a little bit different, but you were saying that she was the best, which is interesting.
Yep.
I don't know. We'll have to see what Minty actually says because he hasn't watched the episode yet, and he'll be very mad at me for assuming a bunch of things, and he'll have the entire opposite opinion or something. It'll be funny.
Yeah.
But,
side with me. It'd be great.
I don't think she's like I think she's a little different. I don't think it's bad. I think it makes sense. It's just like, oh, she changed a lot in 10 years and got a little bit meaner. This also all comes from an interview that both of us saw, where it was by both of us I mean me and my good friend Minty, where the younger actresses were interviewed and basically said that they like had no contact with the older actresses and they couldn't like discuss mannerisms or something, and Minty going about how that was stupid, and I thought there was going to be some method to the reason they chose this, because you would think they would want to like speak the same way or something. And like maybe rehearse together, but apparently that was not the case, very intentionally, which is just an interesting little behind the scenes detail. But
yeah, it could just be a promotion thing. I don't know.
Yeah, could be anything. Doesn't matter. Where are we going in the wondrous world of Ari's notes next?
All right, we only have a few left. There's a scene where Viserys is kissing one of his 2 rings. And I noticed like one of them had a Targaryen thing. The other one I couldn't see what it was, and I think the other one was the one he kissed. So I didn't know what was going on there.
I'm so happy you brought this up. I think that's Emma's ring because it's too small for his hand, and I think
that
he's
would make
like
a lot of sense.
pissy with Alicent right now. So he's like, man, I wish my real wife was still here. But also, he spots a rat crawling around, which is what Alicent saw in their same. Oh, fuck, I just realized what it was referencing. I was like, oh, what is this? But it's a spoiler, and I just realized it. Holy fuck.
The rat.
Some neat foreshadowing. There's like a rat or a mouse that they both keep seeing in their room.
I remember the rat. Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, somebody
Actually,
should
I don't
have done
remember it in the room.
Yeah. Well, it was crawling on the top of their bed when Alicent saw it. But it was both in moments where they were both like pissy at the other one. So I thought that was interesting. Right. Outside of what I think it's foreshadowing that I just came up with, which is like, oh my God. You'll understand this at the end of the season, I believe, Ari. Actually,
it'll be the rats. They poisoned Viserys.
Potentially, but actually, I think it might be the beginning of next season. It depends.
Is it
depends
a faceless
where we're
man? Maybe.
I'm not saying nothing, but
all right.
I did notice the rat, and I wanted to bring that up, but
I
would have
forgotten. The rats.
Besides what it could be foreshadowing, I think it is an interesting like they're both alone moment. I thought because it's in their room again. I don't know. Poor Viserys. Don't we all love him?
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder
how many more episodes he'll make.
Yeah, I was just scrolling through, and I'm on the scene where he is watching them train, and I do like that when Aegon gets pissy and says, "Get your hands off the king" or something, he like screams at him. And it's like, fuck you, don't act like that. Instead of being just like because it would be very easy to sort of unnuancedly, that's a new word, characterize him and just have him be completely oblivious to like his kid's fuck up, but for him to be involved and actually be like kind of a good father and grandfather, it's neat. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yep.
But next note.
All right, next, second last one maybe. Oh, we already talked about this. I wrote, well, maybe correct me if we haven't talked about this, but does Larys want Otto to be hand again? Why on earth would Viserys allow this? We definitely talked about the Viserys thing, where I think it would be so ridiculous for Viserys to allow him back. The other thing is, if I wonder, like, is Larys? I mean, you can't answer this, but is Larys doing this out of his like dedication to Alicent, or is he doing it for some like connection to Otto somehow? And I don't know what we can talk about here, but it's just a weird thought.
Yeah, I don't know. If you want to speculate on that, you can, but I don't. Think
I don't really. No. Let's move on to the second last thing here. What will Daemon's role in this story be? We already talked about that a bit. Absolutely no idea.
We'll see
speculation thing, which I don't want to do.
I'm on. To intercut. I'm on the a little detail that I remembered. I'm on the scene with Lena. We're jumping around. Lena with the kid that's sad that they don't have a dragon. Lena mentions that she didn't get Vhagar until she was 15. Now she's 12 in episode 2, and apparently there was a cutscene at the end of episode 2 of her going to claim Vhagar. Now in that episode where she's walking with Viserys, Daemon married that little girl, by the way. I can't believe it. What an awful person. Yes, we all thought Viserys was gross. Can you believe Daemon? And everybody still loves Daemon. It's so unfair in life. Everybody loves Matt Smith. Oh, but yeah, so that can't have been true. Or they cut that scene and then changed this line or something. Or maybe they cut that scene because they didn't realize that this line contradicted it. Well, there was a report that one of the scenes cut from the end of episode 2, which would have been when she was still 12.
Oh, so when she was 12,
was her going to claim Vhagar. Now, there is a cool thing made in Fire and Blood about her going to claim Vhagar, because if you remember in that episode, Viserys says like, "Oh," he says the Drogon thing about how it's like on the edge of Essos, maybe. Part of the reason why Daemon is so into Lena is because she was like, I'm going to go get the biggest fucking dragon. Fuck you, idiots. I'm going to go find it. And she went and she got it. Crazy. But yeah, so I just thought that was...
And then she died.
Yes, and then she died. How sad. Birthing, can you believe it? There was definitely more...
It is truly terrible.
There is definitely more anti-birthing stuff in this episode with the Rhaenyra thing at the beginning and then the Lena thing later.
That is interesting. It does like cap the episode like top and bottom.
It's not exactly at the end.
Roughly, right. What actually was... I'm trying to think. Was the last scene... It wasn't Daemon, was it?
The last scene is them arriving at No, it's the Larys thing. Oh, and them arriving at Dragonstone. You get like the shot? No. The last shot exactly, I think, is Alicent and Larys. Yeah, Larys saying, you'll get me a position, and her being trepidatious about whether or not she wanted this. And him looking at the flowers again, which he was doing last episode, when he was like,
they don't grow there or something.
Yes, Lemongate Lamau. But yes, you had one more note, I believe.
Well, the only other thing to maybe talk about is the inside the episode thing, which I don't know if I really want to talk about it.
I want to know what they said, Ari. What did they say?
Oh boy, I got a few notes here about... nothing is crazy. It's just annoying. That's all it is. They say that Kristen wasn't there to fight back. He was just trying to prove a point. Fair enough. Yeah. Just the boring kind of take there. Thank you. Inside the episode. They
didn't mention that they changed it at all when they talked about that fight.
No mention at all about any changes or anything. I remember last week's one was interesting. They pointed out how at least one of the showrunners or writer or whatever, he talked about how when he was reading Fire and Blood, he's like, oh yeah, obviously Daemon killed his wife, so we're gonna put it in the show like that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like it sounded very personal of like a reason to put it in the show, which I thought was cool or interesting. Anyway, they also say, what is this? Oh, they also link how in the first scene where Emma dies, they say that Daemon made a joke of Emma and Balon's death, and now the irony is that he's forced to have it to him happen to him again. And I just thought it was interesting how they make it seem like that joke was like Daemon took light of that situation, where I never got that impression. Like I was on the side of like he made a joke, but for like coping, which was a bit weird to see here. Um, don't worry, it doesn't stop there. They also talk about how um, this was interesting. They talk about how the show going forward, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but they said it in the inside thing, is going to explore the theme of children or family beefs being passed on to children and the
Yeah,
things that your children that you shouldn't do to your children. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess the children are going to be like a big deal going forward, which makes sense. Like,
indeed.
but it was interesting for them to point it out specifically using the word of like theme. I'm like, oh, they're constantly like thinking about these themes that they're actually going to imbue, and they're telling the viewers, which is a weird thing to do about your theme, but yeah.
Well, last time
Um,
they said that themes were for 8th grade book reports. Do you remember this?
Wait, they did in the
Oh yeah,
inside the
Dan and
episode?
Dave, the writers. This is one of the famous things that people make fun of them for. Was
Oh
like
my goodness.
they once said that about that went in like one of the. I think it's like in a season 3 inside the episode or something. They're like
Yeah,
themes are for
that's
losers.
kind of awesome.
Yeah, it
I
is
kind
kind of a
like that.
badass thing to say, and I do kind of like it. But the internet loved it at the time. But now after like the season
Yeah,
8 stuff, when they were quote mining them for everything, they're like, well, another thing they
yeah.
kind of forgot about was the themes, bro. Game of Thrones
Yes,
season 8
yes.
sucks.
So true. I mean, the end is really where the themes matter. So I guess that is where you really want the themes. But yeah, inside last point about the inside the episode, Rhaenyra. They say that Rhaenyra is no longer the impetulant teenager. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of
So let's
teenage
never watch
vibes
another one.
from Rhaenyra in this episode, but yeah. The episode,
Yeah,
by the way, I've just noticed this, is called The Princess and the Queen, specifically. Now, an interesting note about this title is
yeah.
that before Fire and Blood ever existed, well, parts of Fire and Blood, specifically a lot of the Dance of Dragons stuff and the Daemon stuff, already existed in a compilation thingy that George would write these compilation things where he would basically, it would be him and like 10 other authors, which were all his friends, and they would all write something around like a similar theme, not in terms of thematics, but in terms of just like broad themes. So one of them was called like The Rogues, and all of them would write stories. And the story that George wrote for it was The Rogue Prince, and it was all about Daemon during in his lifetime.
Yep.
And then there was another one. Basically, this was just a scheme for him to make all of his cool friends who are still broke writers like he was for 50 years, make them a bunch of money because you can write on the front of it, collection including George R. R. Martin, A Song of Ice and Fire story. It's genius. And obviously all the superfans go out and buy it. And you've got 10 other
Yep.
stories that are probably pretty good from starving artists. Another one was
Yep.
called something women. It's like Dangerous Women. I believe it exactly was Dangerous Women. Look at me remembering as I go. And the title of that story was The Princess and the Queen. Now, both of these are basically Fire and Blood chapters. They are both in Fire and Blood. Now, there are a bunch of little changes that are very interesting. Preston talks about these all the time. But the funny thing about both of these are like accounts of the Dance of Dragons. That's why the Dance of Dragons has been like the second biggest story in like Westeros, besides like the main story, and why it's like the natural thing to do a spin-off show about. Besides the White Walkers, of course. Don't leave out Ari's favorite boys.
Jeez. Yeah.
But yeah, obviously when they were like, oh, we want to do spin-offs, all the fans were like, just do the Dance of Dragons. It's obvious. It's also why like 7 years ago on the season 5 DVDs, there's a whole animated version. Well, it's not animated. It's like in the history and lore animation. There's a little bit of animation. There's a bunch of pictures
Yeah.
and stuff. There's like a 22.
I'm sure I've seen that.
Yeah, there's like a 22.
Yeah, like ages ago.
Well, I had seen it ages ago, and I still remember the
Yeah,
big moments that
yeah,
you
I-
haven't. So maybe you've just consumed so much since, and I haven't, that I still remembered everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like these stories existed for a while, whereas Fire and Blood only came out in 2018 or something, and that's when all the other stuff was filled in.
2018.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yes,
That's
it was
crazy.
2018 because it was a year before season 8 came out.
Isn't that wild? Because like, I'm assuming they were working on this show for what, like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. It only came 2 years before they would have started working on the show.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
Anyway.
Also, when the book spoiled some things because it has like one girl that heads west, which is what Arya ends up doing. So it was like the show was finishing and they were doing Fire and Blood references, or actually Fire and Blood is
Wow.
referencing what the ending will eventually be. Crazy stuff. Also, obviously, the Drogon goes missing in the site of Essos, which was already written about Vhagar and Fire and Blood. Crazy stuff.
Oh, that's
But
weird to think about. Yeah.
yeah, the point is, the Princess and the Queen is some biased bullshit, because both the Rogue Prince and the Princess and the Queen stories in those collections were written from a maester's perspective as well. It was exactly what Fire and Blood eventually ballooned into being, right? He obviously got the idea to do a full thing from these two littler things that he did. The Rogue Prince is about Otto and Daemon a lot. It's about their sort of rivalry before the dance begins, and a little bit of the dance, I think. The Princess and the Queen, I think, is like most of the dance. No, I actually don't know. It might just be Rhaenyra and Alicent feuding. But the joke is, and because the Maester is titled it the Princess and the Queen, is that it's assuming that Rhaenyra is no queen and that Alicent is the real queen. So it's sort of like a biased title of sort of like, oh, the Maester's like the High Towers more than Rhaenyra.
That is interesting.
But to continue that conversation, I would have had to spoil everything. And I somehow didn't realize that until I just said that. But yeah, this episode being called that is kind of interesting because it doesn't really get into that. Well, I guess when Viserys dies, one of them has to be the queen. And it's basically claiming that Alicent is the real queen and Rhaenyra isn't.
Oh no, I hope this isn't a massive spoiler now that I'm thinking about it.
It is not, because I know exactly what you're thinking, and I'm like, ooh. It's misleading Ari, and he's going to be even more shocked when what comes. But I don't want to mislead too much either, because that's kind of...
Yes.
It's not a spoiler, but it can fuck you up as well.
Okay.
So, I just noticed the episode title. I think the next one is called Driftmark, which could be interesting.
Beautiful.
I think we've got a funeral to go to.
I can't wait to see Corlys and... Oh, no.
Well, of Lena.
Is he going to be dead? Oh, right. Okay.
On Driftmark,
okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense.
But yes, with no Corlys or Rhaenys this episode, which was actually interesting. I did expect to see them.
I wonder if they'll be balding too next time we see them.
They will be... Oh, no. Corlys is going to have a full set of hair.
I hope so. That'd be awesome.
But, so, the takeaway from this episode is Elmo Tully is coming, and you all better fear him. Do you have... Because we never usually get time. I did get the first battery warning, so we still have, 10 minutes left. I feel like we've covered all the episode stuff. So if we get some juicy RE speculation and predictions right now, that could be cute and funny. Boy. What's happening? Is Viserys dying next episode? Yes or no?
Absolutely not. I feel like he has to make it to the end.
So he has to keep going.
Yeah, he's dying at the end of this season. Oh no, actually, I made a big theory about this.
Well, go ahead.
No, I already posted this in the our discussion for House of the Dragon, because I guess it's based on the episode titles coming up.
Oh, I remember this.
So I don't know if I want to say it here
because me and the audience want to laugh at you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So my theory, based on these great, I don't even know if I can recall it off the top of my head, but the idea of it is that there's, you know what?
There's a Green Council and the Black Queen.
Yeah. It's right
last.
here. Look at it. Let me just read out this genius thing. So, I suppose, I guess, the episode titles are important. So I suppose Green and Black are the two sides of the conflict. My prediction is that Rhaenyra will kill Alicent in episode 10. So I guess that's my first prediction in the finale, which will cement Rhaenyra as the Black Queen. And that's where the episode of the title for the episode comes in. And that will end the first major conflict of Rhaenyra's succession. And then I speculate further, maybe she could burn Alicent and her entire quote-unquote Green Council, which is the episode title for the episode 9, I think, to ash. And she's called the Black Queen because she burns them to ash. Genius.
Crazy thing.
And then I said, I don't know what would motivate this, though. She has no reason to hate Alicent enough to kill her right now. And I don't know what she could do to make Rhaenyra hate her. And then I said, maybe ordering Kristen to kill Viserys. So there we go. That's my bold Viserys prediction, that Kristen is gonna kill Viserys because Alicent orders it.
He's gonna disregard his oath further and become a Kingslayer. Because whenever Jaime was mentioned, they always mentioned that other Kingslayer, Kristen Cole, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe he'll do it secretly.
To be fair, those Kingsguard killed Maegor, and they never bring them up when they bring Jaime up either. So,
see, yep, there we go.
It's possible.
I still think he's doing it. We'll see. But that's it. Great. What a great theory, isn't it? Yeah, it's gonna happen.
What's gonna happen to Jacaerys and Lucerys? What's gonna happen with them? How are they dying? Are they dying?
I was actually thinking about that because They obviously have I don't know, brown or black hair. Um, and I know that in eventually the Targaryens, they come back into power. The Mad King has blonde hair, so I don't imagine they're going to become the king, or I guess they are both male, so king eventually. So I imagine they have to do it. Would they have to die?
Oh, this is
Let me
actually something we
think.
didn't talk about that could substantiate, or well, no, whatever the opposite of substantiate that claim is that
Yep.
Rhaenyra proposed, when she apologized, she proposed a marriage between uh, Jacaerys is the older one, and
Yep.
Helena. But Alicent
Yes.
is obviously, she thinks they're bastards, so she's never going to go for that. Viserys is like
Yep.
so into it, it's so cute. Um,
Yes, I love that.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
he's like happy for his two people. Great. They're
He's
all
like,
getting
yay,
along.
my
We're all
family will
happy.
love each other again. I'm so happy. Because Rhaenyra
Yes.
even says there, like, we are one family. And
Yep.
but yeah. Oh, there's a line from the trailer where it's like, our hearts were once one. And then Rhaenyra says, our hearts were never one. That's a spoiler, Ari. You
Oh
haven't
my
heard that
goodness.
line yet. I was like, oh, that could be
No.
in reference to this moment.
Hey, I watched the trailer like 2 years ago
Oh,
whenever it
yeah.
came out.
But it was cool
I
because
don't remember a single thing.
I think the first one was the younger actress and the next one was the older one. So I was like, huh.
Right.
But anyway,
Genius.
they're probably not going to
Yep.
get
So
married,
two
huh, Ari?
kids, they're
I
gonna
think.
die. No, they're both dying.
But what about Joffrey? Is
Anyone
he
with
going
black
to
hair.
live and become the king? But he also has brown hair. So are you
No,
saying
his
three
hair
kids
hasn't
are
been
dead?
defined yet. No, Joffrey.
I'm pretty sure
We
they
don't
looked
know.
at his scalp and they saw the black hair, and Alicent was like, well,
No, but
now.
it changes sometimes. It
It
changes.
does change
Um,
sometimes. I don't know if it goes from
yeah. So,
brown, blackish to Targaryen blonde, but perhaps.
all right. Let me think. I
What
I
about
think the
Aemond,
fact that
Aegon,
we're
Helena, and the
no,
fourth
wait.
kid that hasn't been
I think
introduced
let me
yet?
just say I think Joffrey is gonna survive. I'm putting that down. The other two will die and he'll survive.
Will he be
Who
king
are these
after
other ones? The
Rhaenyra?
blonde ones, right?
Or Rhaenyra's queen if she
He
ascends?
will he will only be king if he has blonde hair. That's okay. That's a confident prediction. Someone with blonde hair will become the next will become the king or queen or whatever. Because the Mad King is blonde. That's my whole motivation here.
It's it's
Um,
a it's a steady
Genius, right?
prediction. But Alicent's kids, what's happening to them?
Oh God, I don't know. Apparently, one of them is going to be a warg and walk into the tree that they always go to, and they're
Helena
going to
is
see the
going
White
to be
Walkers and Bran or something. Yeah,
Bloodraven 0.0 before Bloodraven ever was.
yeah. I wonder if they'll tie those stories together because he was a Targaryen, right?
He
That's
was
like
a
his whole.
Targaryen bastard, though he was legitimized, but yes, and then he was Hand of the King for a long time. And then he was Master of Whisperers too, because he was warging and spying on people and killing people and
Yeah.
being evil. But then he was a good guy kind of at the end. What a story.
So that's exactly what's going to happen to that. I
To
can't remember her
Helena,
name, but that character exactly. Whatever you just said, it's got to be paralleled. It'll be the exact same. Um,
mm-hmm.
so she'll what is it? She'll do bad stuff,
And
but
then
then
good
she'll be
stuff.
pardoned or something. Yeah,
And
yeah.
then go to join the Night's
Um,
Watch and become Lord Commander. I don't think they ever mentioned having a
no,
female
we're
Lord
not.
Commander, but
We are not. So we're not seeing the Night's Watch in this show. That's too White Walker focused. I wish, Kyle, but we're not getting it. Um,
I'm
guess
trying to
that's another
think, will
prediction.
we? But I won't say
We
the
won't.
answer out
It's
loud.
impossible.
Huh.
Um, all
Um,
right. That's the
well,
only other
Aegon
kid I
seems
know.
like
Oh,
he's
Aegon,
he
Aegon.
has to be a big character,
Yes.
right? And we got a lot of focus on Aemon, so it would indicate that he was also going to be a big character. So does Rhaenyra
Oh
just
boy.
win over Aegon and is like, "Come be with me and fuck your mother"? Well, not literally. We are talking about the
Hmm.
Targaryens still, but don't
Yeah.
clearly fight me, or what's happening with Aegon? Does Rhaenyra have to kill him
Hmm.
eventually?
I think Aegon will be a Viserys parallel because he looks so much like him, and he made me think of him. In that, and the parallel I'm thinking of
You
is
mean
that
Viserys,
it's I
Dany's
get.
brother, not
Oh,
Viserys,
sorry,
our good
Viserys.
king?
Yes, Viserys. Many years in the future parallel. Um,
Even though they don't
but
look
not
alike
really a
at all.
parallel. I guess even yeah, okay. And that will be the parallel I'm thinking here is that
He dies
Rhaenyra
earlier.
will no, Rhaenyra's not going to kill him. He's going to cast him out and send him to Essos,
Essos.
and then
Okay.
he can live there. That's what I think.
Um,
Genius, right?
what about Aemon? Make a prediction about him right now. Is he going to get a dragon? Is he going to
Hmm.
succeed in the day?
Trying to think. What was his? Let me think. He was being bullied.
He's
Um.
the underdog right now, which means he's going to be the biggest, most evil prick in the future, right, Ari?
Hmm. Trying to think because the like they talk about in the inside the episode how like there's going to be family beefs passed on, and they're going to do things to children that you shouldn't. I feel like, what could they do? Who is current? I wonder who's being bullied in this relationship.
Well,
Is he gonna get it? I don't know.
is kind of bullying his younger brother, so.
No, I know, I get that.
But so
I
are
mean,
the
in
other
the
kids.
older generation.
Of the older generation.
Like who would you pass on the? I don't know. I'm just trying to piece together this.
Well, there's
theme that
only
we're
really
talking
two
about.
groups of kids, right? There's Rhaenyra's kids and Alicent's
Yeah.
kids. Well, I guess if Daemon's kids come back.
Yeah, Damon's kids. Yeah.
But who's he feuding with? Him and Otto's kids can't feud. Otto's
That's
kid is too
strange.
old.
What was his name? Aemon? It wasn't Aemon, was it?
Yeah, Aemond with a D on the end, not like the
Oh,
Night's
Aemond.
Watch
Aemond.
dude.
Okay. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen with their storyline. I don't know. Like I can't imagine.
I think
They
we'll
get
get
a
some
dragon. I don't know.
big
I really don't know.
implications next episode, Ari. I saw that preview. What
Exciting.
an interesting and fun time it's going to be. But hold on, let's
wait.
do a pop quiz to see if I have taught Ari well. Rhaenyra's
Jesus.
kids' names in order. Go. Actually, you don't have to get the first
In
one.
order. Easy. Jacaerys.
Yeah, I think that's the first one. That is the first one. I
Yes.
think that's how you say his name.
That is the old one.
'cause
He
I'm
is
still
the
fucking
heir.
up his name, but yeah. Jake.
Jake.
then-
No, Jace. They say Jace.
Jace. That's right.
Luke. But I don't know what his real name is.
Luke Harris.
Lucaris. Okay.
And
then Joffrey. Easy.
then Alicent's kids. Firstly, we've got...
Jesus Christ.
He's been in it since
Aegon.
episode 2, yep. And then the daughter comes next, and her name is...
Oh, Jesus.
It's like
have we ever heard her name?
Yeah, like...
Trying to think.
Well, actually, I think the whole meme was we hadn't heard it in like the whole episode, but I told you. But I think we do hear Helena's name in this episode, which sounds like a
Helena.
normal name, Helena, but it is spelt with the weird Targaryen AE at the front. It's Haelena.
I like that.
And then the third one, who we were just talking about.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my goodness.
Not the Night's Watchman, but with a D on the end.
Aemond.
Aemond, indeed. And the fourth one, who I'm almost certain has to have been born by now, but we didn't see it all in the episode, is Daeron. But he is a baby, or he's not around, or maybe he'll be born next time, but that seems unlikely. Or maybe they just cut him from the show. I find that very hard to believe, though.
Beautiful.
But she has 4 kids in total. Will Rhaenyra have more kids in the future? Well, I'm going to keep that to myself, which kind of
Maybe.
indicates that it might be. But
Now, what are Damon's kids' names? Do you know?
Rhaela and Aira. Aira sounds
at you.
wrong. I think it's Aira.
Oh, you said
let me
area or something, yeah.
Yeah, Area I think might be
Oh,
wrong.
yeah.
Daemon Targaryen.
Sansa.
No Sansas. There are some Sansas in the Stark family tree.
Yeah,
but
there was
I
an
don't know that
Eddard in
one.
this episode.
Oh yes, that was another big thing. He was doing the little thingies. I went back and put the subtitles on specifically to see.
Yep.
Hold on, we got issues. I did just get the second battery warning, so we do have to end.
Oh,
We've
no.
got Baela and Rhaena. So I was wrong. There's no Aria. That
Wait,
must be
what
a
was
different one.
Did you say Baylor?
Yeah, it's Baela and Rhaena.
That's how similar it is to Balon.
Yeah.
Considering what he said
cute.
about Balon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Cute. All right, we do have to end because I just got
like
the
it.
second warning, which
Yes,
means I'm going
yes.
flat in 5 minutes. So this is more of a chill conversation, I think. More of a chill episode.
Of the
Maybe,
best
kind
episode.
of, even though I said it was like the most evil one. Ari thinks it was the best. We'll have to see what everybody else thinks. That's encouraging them to leave a comment below, Ari. See how good I am at this stuff?
Yep.
We're not going to get any comments on this. The last one is 500 views somehow, probably from our scripted video. And by our, I mean mine.
Hey, I was part of it, all right?
You were. This conversation, well, the first conversation was part of them. But anyway, somebody leave a comment. Somebody tell me you got to the end. The minty one got like 7 comments. Can you believe it?
Crazy.
But yes, from me and EliteAri, we'll see you back next week for an interesting episode. Dragons getting kidnapped? What? Support links in the description below. Thanks.